Welcome to Live, Let Thrive, a podcast about the Airbnb life, the share economy, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Myka and Steve.
Hello.
And welcome back to another exciting episode
Of Live,
Let
Thrive. What is up, Myka man?
I am chilling, Stevie Stacks. How you doing?
Great, sir.
Hey,
What episode is this? Do you know offhand?
episode 124.
Whoa, we're up there, man.
Yeah, we're moving.
Doing it for a while. Yeah, and we have a special guest today. And I'm gonna try this for the fans out there. I'm gonna do like an intro. So I'm building it up real big. Introduce our special guest, our amazing guest, and so I'm probably gonna fail miserably. But here goes. It helps that she wrote the script for me. Our guest today is an amazing guest. Her name is Zeona McIntyre. And Zeona has been an Airbnb host since 2012 and has grown her offerings to consulting and co-hosting homes from from Seattle to Spain. Spain, that's awesome. That's my favorite place. At 33 years old, she is an avid real estate investor, owning 7 homes and managing 15 others, all rented short term. She teaches her clients to create automated hosting business through her website and blog, ZeonaMcIntyre.com. Zeona has been to 47 countries, spending half the year in Boulder, Colorado, and the other half traveling the world as an international pet and house sitter. So welcome, Zeona.
Thank you. Yay.
That was like the best intro ever on our podcast.
I only messed up. It's like the only one. But anyways, it's still the best. So how you doing, Zeona? Thank you for hopping on. And how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, just chilling here in Boulder. It's kind of funny because when I hear that, I go like, oh yeah, that's all true pre-COVID. Because now I'm not pet sitting or traveling.
Oh well, it's like it's the new. I don't know. I was gonna get into that later, like the new normal. How are we gonna do all this now? And well, I'm sure. See, we heard you on the Bigger Pockets podcast a while back, 2017. I was looking it up a minute ago, and it was awesome. You talking about financial freedom, which is we love to talk about, and you're talking about short-term rentals and we were fascinated by your story. So real quick, before we get into the COVID stuff, which we always do, how did you get started? How did you get started in this?
Yeah, so I heard about Airbnb in 2011. So I'm kind of one of those OG Airbnb hosts. I started in 2012, and my friend was getting into it, and he got laid off, and he was like, I can't afford my apartment in New York. I heard about this thing called Airbnb. I'm going to try it and like go travel. And so he started doing super well with it. And he was just like, you've got to do it. You've got to do it. And I was busy and didn't really think that it was going to be something for me. And then he told me that after a year, he made $50,000 on one apartment that he didn't even own. And so then I was like, okay, I'm paying attention, that's real money. And I was like, broke college student. So I started doing it, and I started really simply with just an extra bedroom and a 2-bedroom apartment that I was renting. And I had a roommate that was moving out, and I thought, well, it's already furnished. Let me just try it. And if it doesn't work, I'll just get another roommate, not a big loss. So it turned out working so well that I was renting her room and then sometimes my room and going and staying with friends. And I eventually rented a few more apartments until I could buy something. So yeah, fast forward, I own 7 places now, and I manage places all over for different people. And yeah, just always trying to be creative.
So quick question. So you've grown. So where do you said you host from, I think, Seattle to Spain.
Yeah.
So where do you host, and what cities do you host right now?
Yeah, so I have a place in like upstate New York. There's a place near Valencia in Spain. I have a couple outside of Seattle and Everest. I've got Colorado Springs, Denver, Boulder in Colorado, St. Louis, Missouri. They're kind of just like all over the place, And it really depends. I've got a place in Utah near the ski slopes. So yeah.
Park City.
It's just that people hear me from podcasts, and so they're all over the world.
So in like all those places are Airbnb friendly. I know Colorado got really strict at one point, didn't they?
Yeah. So the cool thing about co-hosting is that it doesn't have to be legal for me per se, you know? So it's not that I went out and I bought a property, which wouldn't be legal in Denver, but the owner is living there part of the year, and that does make it legal. And so I could have 20 places in Denver, you know? So that's kind of the loophole there.
Wow. So you're co-hosting. You're not okay, so you don't arbitrage, or you just buy and co-host?
Yeah, so I started arbitraging. That was kind of my start before I had any money to do it. And then now, yeah, I own them and then I co-host. Yeah.
So I guess the ultimate question, how has your business changed due to coronavirus, and how hard was it hit, and what have you done to make the changes to survive?
Yeah, you know what I tell people all the time is that in the end, I'm just grateful that I have inventory. Because if you have real estate, you can be creative. There's a lot of different ways that you can rent it and use it. It's different if you are in stocks or something. If the recession happens, you really can't do anything but wait out the storm. And so in the end, I'm just grateful that I have properties. Most of my places, I kind of saw it coming and I was like, well, let's see if I can just get some month-to-month people that will want to wait out the storm. And so that's kind of worked out really well for me, is that I've got most of my places at least get 2 weeks to a month. And then I have been checking out more medium term, I guess I would call it, is like travel nurses and stuff where, yeah, they'll do 3-month contracts and sometimes extend to 6 months. And I've found that I like that because it's actually a lot less guest communication, a lot less expenses. So it's trying out a whole new way to do it.
Wow. And where are you advertising for these medium to long-term guests?
Yeah, so I'm still on Airbnb, but I'm also using, instead of like using the traditional short-term rental routes, I'm not really as heavy with like Booking.com and VRBO. I'm kind of looking more towards, I'm on Craigslist, I'm on Facebook Marketplace, and then I'm also using Furnish Finder, which I'm really loving. And they are predominantly medical professionals, but sometimes it's just anybody looking for a furnished place. So you get like government contracts and stuff. But yeah, that's been great leads. It's just a lead generator essentially. And when you have that, you can have, like, I have 4 places in St. Louis. I can just have one listing and then I use the leads and I shoot them all 4 places. And then if they're clicking on Airbnb, it improves my SEO. So it's a win-win. It's working out pretty well.
So being a co-host, when all this, I guess people say, early or mid-March is when the whole thing went down, the COVID thing, and the cancellations started rolling in. How did it? I'm sure you were getting blown up on your, left and right on your phone about what are we going to do, And how did you respond to that?
Yeah, I pretty much just told them that, like, hey, I don't know how long this is going to last, but let's try to get a couple longer bookings. Let's try to get the next month so that we can always kind of see a month ahead of us. And so we did have to drop prices quite a bit. And it's a little bit sad because coming into summertime is usually the height of the season for most of my places. And so it seems like this year we're not going to get that crazy money that you get in those couple of months. But I think it's just nice to have them rented. I have a couple that are just making a couple hundred over break even, and so it's not crazy, but it's also a lot less expenses and I feel pretty good about it. I just don't want to be losing money. So if I can keep all the places full, I'm a happy camper.
Did you have to talk some people off the ledge?
One of my clients who's like the biggest handful, he has a place in upstate New York that's kind of like an hour and a half from the city. And actually his place has gotten a ton of demand because everybody wants to get out of New York City. They're just like freaked out and it's been like a big hub of virus. And so having a place that's like spread out and has a lot of space and nature, like people are excited about that. So that place has been doing really well. So it kind of just depends. I think some places are a good like retreat.
So we heard like on the news and stuff, we're over here in Texas, but we heard that the people in upstate don't want the people from New York City going that way.
Well, they're doing it. I have one property in Maine, which is totally in the boonies. And I have a neighbor who's been like emailing us through Airbnb and being like, you're not supposed to have guests there. I'm going to tell the governor. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway, so sometimes people are nosy, but in general, it's not a big deal.
So we were talking before we got started, and we were talking about the survival of Airbnb because we've both been seeing all the comments and all the Facebook groups and whatnot. How do you think Airbnb will survive this apocalypse that it's going through right now?
Yeah, are you asking me? I kind of want to hear his opinion because you and I had already talked about it. Like, what you gotta say?
My opinion. No, they're gonna die. It's over. It's the end.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it at all. I think if anything, people are super pent up and they're just excited to get out and travel the moment somebody says it's safe, you know? So, and I think some people are still doing it, just trying to get like a change of scenery. If they're going to be stuck indoors, let's be stuck in someone else's indoors. So it's not gone away at all. And Airbnb is just a middleman. You know, they're making crazy money just putting people together. So I think that business will always survive. You know, they can cut costs and keep themselves going.
Oh yeah, that's my answer too. I think people can't wait to travel.
Oh
and
yeah,
it's gonna be like a big, I won't say explosion, but it'll just be like finally we can do something. Get the hell out of the house. You know, I love my family, but you know, I need to get out.
Yeah, you know, and we'll see because Texas opens back up tomorrow, right?
Yeah, Friday.
Yeah, Friday.
Friday.
Opens partially back up.
Go hit up the bars.
No, bars still closed.
You better get the heck out of Texas because that's going to be the next epicenter of like Corona.
Don't say that, Zeona. Don't say that. Am I saying your name right? Zeona or Zeona?
Zeona.
That's
okay.
I was way up. Zeona.
I like the creative. You know, I think everybody says it a different way because it's not really phonetic. So.
What does it mean?
It means God's kingdom. I was born in Jamaica, and it's after Zion.
Wow, that's cool.
That's dope.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're like, we interviewed a travel nurse, like, she runs a travel nurse website, and she's a nurse, like a couple weeks ago, and she's also from Jamaica.
Oh, yeah. That's sweet. Yeah, what website? Are there other sites that you guys are using and doing really well with? Because I got to get those tips too. Let me learn some.
I'm on Furnish Finder myself, but right now, actually, before this whole thing went down, the cities that I had Airbnbs in banned Airbnb completely. So I turned them to long-term rentals which is kind of like a, double-edged sword. It's like, well, I'm glad I got long-term renters before this, but anyway, I was just using Furnish Finder. I never had really any luck on that site. She runs. Do you know what her site is offhand, Mike?
Nurses B&B.
Nurses B&B.
Huh.
Yeah,
okay. I never heard of it, but I'll check it out.
Yeah, travel nurses go there. It's a place for travel nurses, place for people to list their property. So she's kind of playing that middleman as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's a smart role because you don't really have that much skin in the game, you know?
I'm actually getting my second listing on there now. So I've been using Nurses B&B. I just started using that. Then I'm Furnish Finder, of course. Then I use Turbo Tenant. Turbo Tenant, the cool thing about that, it sends you everywhere. It puts you on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, Zillow, Trulia. It puts them all out there for you. So all you're doing is make one listing and it shoots them all out. So it's one-stop shop. Turbo Tenant has been really good, getting a lot of leads. A lot of the leads I sell because I don't really need them because I'm still getting hit really, really hard on Airbnb because the places where my places are, they're in little rural towns where people drive through. So I'm always getting reservations. So I didn't really I didn't take a huge hit from Airbnb, but I am preparing right now to go ahead and start going direct. I'm looking to get my own website up. So maybe use something like Hostfully, kind of away from Guesty because kind of expensive. So I'm looking at things like that, trying to go direct as much as possible and start doing direct marketing campaigns.
Nice.
Yeah. So Zeona, are you currently looking for more Airbnb to co-host more Airbnbs or to purchase more houses right now?
Yeah, so I think for me, I'm kind of looking at the lazier strategies. So if I go to purchase a home, I think I'm going to just get like turnkeys that are already renovated and they're long term with a property manager in place. I've been looking in Ohio and I'm just kind of waiting just in case it gets a little cheaper. Because right now it seems like it could, like the real estate could drop a little bit. So yeah, I think right now I'm excited to do more co-hosting and I like doing Airbnb on my own places, but I think my long-term strategy is going to just be coasting with long-term rentals that I don't have to think about. So I'm already kind of working that direction a little bit. I don't think I'm going to buy more Airbnbs unless something magical falls into my lap.
So are you like, do you consider yourself financially free, financially independent?
Yeah. The way that I define that is that my rentals make more money than I spend in a year. And so that's already true. And so I don't need to be doing the co-hosting. But what was true about that, and so I considered myself financially independent at 28. And at that point, I was living super frugally and I wasn't really going and eating out. And I thought, man, I love that I'm financially independent, but I want to get to this place where I have enough that I don't have to think about money. So it's like I can go eat out, I can do things. I'm still going to always be kind of responsible. I'm just a big spender. But yeah, I just didn't want to have to think about it too much. So I built up this co-hosting business and it's helped me make a lot extra right now. And then I'll put that into a couple more investments. So I feel pretty good about it.
Smart move. Yeah. I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm looking to buy right now. I'm looking really hard, but I'm looking at places that are undervalued in like little small rural areas. And I've been coming up with a few hits. I've been getting outbidded, but I've been really, really, really looking hard. So, and that's a good thing to look at. I don't know if people are looking. I would say don't be scared right now. You know, if there's something available, definitely go for it. I may think about hopping in co-hosting. And how did you, like, speaking of co-hosting, how did you build up your business in co-hosting to where you were able to just get clients?
So it started really accidentally. It was just kind of like people started knowing in town that I was someone who did Airbnb. And so friends of mine that were learning how to do it kind of would ask me about it and whatnot. And then I had a friend that was like, man, I've been doing Airbnb for a little bit, but I think I'm kind of doing it half. And I'm not really doing a great job because I've got a full-time job. Could we work out something and then you could manage this place for me? And so that's kind of how it started, is I did just a few friends. And then I was like, hey, this is pretty cool. Like, I find that with co-hosting, you're always going to make money because you're making money every time they get a booking. So even if they're not making a great month, you're still getting money out of it. So it's a really, there's a really low downside with that, and there's no investment because they're providing a home that's already furnished. And so I think co-hosting is a great way to go. But yeah, I started my own blog and then I started doing a bunch of podcasts, and that was a great funnel for co-hosting clients. So I think if you start saying that you're doing it on the podcast, you're probably going to get interest.
Okay. So. I currently only co-host. Well, I don't say co-host. I host a place for someone else, only one. It's been pretty good, and I have noticed wow, you don't have the worry of, is this going to make rent this month? It's just money. Every time you hear ding, it's money for you. So yeah, that may be something I'll look into in the future.
Yeah, because, to be completely honest, I've been in Airbnb for a while. And I think that the hot years of Airbnb were like 2014 to 2018 or 2017. And it was like you couldn't lose. It was just gangbusters. But now I think there's a lot of pros out there. There's like hotel chains that are doing Airbnb. There's just a lot of changes. And so the numbers are getting tight. The profit margins are shrinking a bit. And if you're co-hosting, again, you can't lose. But if you go to buy a place and you don't buy it perfectly, you might have some hard months. So I do think co-hosting is a great way to do it.
Wow, that actually is because even if you notice, Airbnb is more, you notice they're kind of going more the professional route, the hotel tonight, all that. Do you think, this is a question for you, like for people that want to hop in, do you think that they need to be changing up their skills of how they host with so much rising competition? And what are some things that you would suggest?
Yeah, I mean, I think people need to have their design skills up because at first, I mean, I started as a college student and I had a low budget and you could just have kind of something dormy. But now it's like things look like they're out of interior design magazines and you can still do that on the cheap. But you got to like study a little bit, you know, you got to have an eye for that. And I think it totally can be done, but it's not just like, oh, let's get the cheapest basics. Like you need to put a little thought into the quality of sheets and towels and just the way things look, and make sure you've got some fake plants and some art and a cute throw. Like it's got to be cozy. And so that's a big thing. And I think it's something that can totally be learned, but I think it's a step a lot of people skip. So that's important.
Yeah.
Nice. No, sorry. Had a 2-year-old meltdown, so yeah.
Fun. That's part of being at home. That's exciting.
I know, right? Get to witness that. See how hard my wife actually works all day long. So see that firsthand. Yeah. So sorry, I missed the conversation. I'll just jump in where I was going to ask you. It was cool. You were talking about Turnkey, how that's like your new strategy. You want something that's just ready to go, and you can start up right away without having to like renovate, do all that stuff. So, and to me, because like, if you've already reached, financial independence, why keep taking like big risks, And that's what I was thinking is the theory, like stocks versus bonds in a way, right? Because like, yeah, I mean, when you're trying to build wealth, you're trying to, get some stocks because they go up faster, they go down faster too. Or you can just put it in bonds and grow slowly. And so you're at the state of you're investing in real estate in the bond phase in a way, kind of. I thought that was kind of cool.
That's an interesting way to look at it. Yeah. Yeah, so. I do think so. I mean, I think now there's this thing I was just talking to a friend about, that you kind of get addicted to buying homes. Like it's fun. And now, my boyfriend says that I buy homes, I don't buy shoes. It's just like my thing. I love that shit. So yeah, it's something that I don't know that I can ever get rid of, but I might try to slow it because I just don't want too much. More money, more problems. It's like I just don't want more houses that are always needing something, because I want to have a very relaxed life. So I'm buying a little more purposely. I have 2 nephews, and one of them has been like starting to go to school, just like a little preschool thing, but it costs money. And so I was like, man, what if I could buy one home and that would be contributing to his school? And then at the end, once I've got it all paid off, I can give it to him and say, this is your whole college if you want to just sell it or whatever. And so I'm kind of like using these little plans of like, how can I do something really simple now when they're just a baby, and then build it up to something later. So that's kind of the stuff that I think about now. It's like, how can I replace this $300 bill? Well, I'll just buy this one house.
That's cool. Yeah. That's how I'm looking at it with my kids. I have three daughters. And so that's why I wanted to at least have one house per child. So if we have another child, I have to get another house. So that's what I looked at it like, is their college, as soon as they can do what they want with it, and hopefully, keep it as a rental and make money that way. But we'll see. Hopefully they don't just cash it out and go to Vegas or something stupid.
Well, hopefully you teach them along the way. So by the time they're 18, they have some skills.
Yeah, you're right. Buying homes is addictive, because I'm starting to really realize I'm addicted to that shit too.
Yeah.
I've been like, this whole quarantine, that's all I've been doing is sitting on auctions. Got a realtor. I sent a guy 20 properties that I was like, if you were able to look at these, I'll make an offer on them. So yeah, it is very addicting. I've noticed I'm very addicted to it.
I've noticed, I don't know about y'all, but I noticed prices didn't drop too much right now. I thought that with the COVID-19, the people on high unemployment is just going to plummet, but they've been staying steady and maybe even rising a little.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of things fell off the market. There are a lot of potentials for deals because you don't necessarily know what someone's situation is. So even something that's on the market, they might need it gone right away because they've already bought something else. They're paying double mortgage. It might be empty. So I've been hearing of people making low offers, 25% low, and you can do a good job. So, it's a numbers game.
You're right. Because the prices, it's really either where you're looking, and also, it's mainly the market of where you're looking at. Because I've seen a lot of them drop, but I don't think we're going to feel the full effect until about 3 months from now. when those forbearances start to wear off and people don't have the money, they've lost jobs, that's when you'll see the full effect. And that's when you can go out and start helping people like, hey, I'll pay your mortgage off, or I'll take over the payments, things like that.
Yeah, you'll be able to do some creative financing. And I've been hearing that this mortgage thing is going to turn into balloon payments. So at first I thought, oh, cute, they're going to just extend 3 months on the back end of your mortgage, that it would just turn into a longer mortgage. That would have been the smart way to go, just collect extra interest on the back end. But if they make it balloon payments, it's going to be a flurry of foreclosures. So if you have the cash, and you know about those kinds of deals, then there is a lot of opportunity. But I think it's very sad because balloon payments never work. People are not going to have the money in a month if they didn't have it 2 months ago.
Yeah, we interviewed a guy, a banker actually, and he was talking about that being a real possibility, people facing these huge balloon payments, and or the bank's going to say, or y'all could refinance with us. And so in either way, if they get the balloon payment, fine. But if they get people to redo their mortgages, and that's a lot of money too, all the fees and stuff they can collect from it. So, I mean, they're in it to win it. They're not going to just try to give us something for free.
They're going to try to do loan mods. That's crazy.
And those mods, yeah. And I guess my strategy, and I told Myka, is that, I'm taking the forbearance right now for the 3 months, but I'm putting all that money aside in an account, so I won't touch it. And when it comes down to time where they're saying, okay, this is what we can work out with you, we could either do a balloon payment or we can put it to the end. When they give me the option, because they're being real hazy right now. They're not answering my questions. They're saying, well, when it gets there, we'll see what kind of things we can do. And they mentioned the different things, but they can't really give me a clear answer. Yeah. So just in case that none of the other options sound good to me, I'll just, here's the money, boom. But if I can get something cool, like adding the 3 months to my end of my mortgage and I still keep that chunk of change, that'd be pretty nice too.
Yeah, let's see what happens. But I think that would be the best way to go, because I don't think the banks want a bunch of foreclosures on their books. That would be kind of intense. Plus, I don't know how you're going to get someone to qualify for a refi if they don't have money or a job. But, we'll see how that goes.
I'm good for it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, so right now, like in this area, North Texas, which has always been pretty hot. It's been pretty hot for a while. Like I said, I saw like a dip like right away when this whole thing started, going crazy with the COVID, and but then it just like right back up, and the deals that did, like, wow, a house for $130,000, pretty decent looking house. I mean, that went quick, and I put in a few bids for houses like that, but I didn't even come close. So I don't know how much they bid it up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think that, yeah, we'll see what happens when the forbearance situation, when the bill comes due, we'll see how many good deals will be out there.
Yeah. And it's tricky because they just kind of arbitrarily put out 3 months, but like, who knows how long this will last, right? I don't know. There are maybe people that are out of work for like 6 months or 8 months or, so.
And I mean, they just opened up Atlanta and then they just had a influx of new cases. So it's like, I don't know. You don't know how long this thing's going to last. You never know. If they open it back up and these cases start flying through the roof and they have to shut it back down, it's like, I don't know. It is sad though. All these people going through unemployment. That sucks,
Yeah. Are you guys trying any of the small business loans or unemployment things or different stimulus options? I haven't done anything, but lots of people are like, oh, you would qualify for this or that. And I'm just like, I'm too lazy. It seems very, very like confusing. And I'm like, oh God, no, thank you.
It's like, I got too much money to be worried about that.
People saying like, but it's a free $600 a month. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. I think like there's people that really need it out there and I don't really. And then at the end of the day, like if you're waking up at 3 a.m. to file when no one's on the computer, it's like, dang, that is way too much work. I'm not doing that shit.
Yeah. So you're technically self-employed then. So you would qualify for something like that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah, sole proprietor. I applied, but I didn't get nothing back yet. They said it's coming, but I didn't get anything. I wasn't worried about it. I was like, I'll just apply. I did.
It might just be like a check in the mail later when you totally forgot about it.
That is true. I did the PPP one, the paycheck protection one yesterday. I'm not really looking forward to it. If it comes, it comes. But
Yeah.
I applied, but I mean,
So how does that one work? The paycheck protection one?
I'm not even sure. It looked exactly like the SBA one, so I was like, okay.
You're like, what am I signing up for here?
Yeah, so I was like, okay, it looks like the last one. So I signed up. I mean, if I get it, I get it, But I think the SBA one, they give you $1,000 per employee. But if you don't have proof that you paid an employee with it, you got to pay it back. So it's little nuances with all those. Any money they give you, it's gonna have a price tag attached to it.
What's crazy is like these people are researching who's getting these checks, and like, I mean, they find out that the Lakers got like $4.7 million, and you're like, the freaking Lakers got money, and there's people that actually need the money. So of course, as soon as they put it out there, Lakers, we're giving our $4.7 million back. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse got like $30 million. Like, we're giving her $30 million. I'm like, what the hell? Where's the money going? It's going to all these freaking millionaires, the people that are already millionaires, and none's going to the people that actually need it. That's a bunch of bullshit.
As my friend Al Williams has said, you give the money to your golf buddies first, man.
That's, man. Yeah, corruption, whatever. What goes around comes around. So back to Zeona, right? Zeona. So what are your long-term goals in this whole thing? You said you didn't want to. I mean, I see that you're about lifestyle first, and that's cool. Yeah. So I mean, you're not one of these, I need 100 houses, I need 100 units, 100 doors, and this and that.
No, I think that's very like a traditional real estate route, is that it's kind of like, I don't know if I should say this word, but I'm going to say it. Just like a dick measuring contest, all the real estate guys are like, I'm only as valuable as how many doors I have. And like, I don't want to talk to you because you have less than 10, it's like stupid. So I definitely come from the side of being financially independent and being early retired. And so that's kind of like finding out what's enough and sticking to that. And so, yeah, I feel like I have enough already. So I don't necessarily have as much like motivation and hunger, but I am curious about things. And so in the last couple, like maybe last 2 years of tax returns, I was really looking at expenses and thinking, dang, it's a little bit more than a long-term rental, but it almost seems like a lot more work. Yes, you make a lot of money, but you lose it all in expenses. And I just wasn't sure if Airbnb was still making a ton of sense. And so I had been really excited to try kind of medium-term or long-term strategies and just compare the numbers. And so lately I've been excited to try those out. And then I've also been kind of using time, what would I say? Like, I'm clocking my time to see how much time I spend with one strategy versus the other. So just trying to like collect some data so I can figure out what is my best mode going forward. And then the next thing that I'm learning about is I'm kind of like taking this time to learn about location rentals, which is like rentals by the hour. So for like events and filming and stuff like that. And what I've found that's really exciting about that is that you can make a ton of money on just a few places. And for some of the places that, like, for example, St. Louis, they might only make $50 a night in the slow time of year. Well, if I can make $100 an hour and book 2 hours, then that's better than having anyone stay overnight. So just trying to figure out, like, what are the strategies I really want to be doing? Do I want less homes, but do I want to manage things like a restaurant or something and do events with that? So yeah, just kind of trying to keep it fresh, man. I've been doing Airbnb for almost 10 years. It's like, it's not always going to be the hot thing. Let's look for what's new. So
you're looking for the biggest bang for your buck, in other words.
Yes.
So right now, like when you're saying you're looking for stuff like that, like, hey, how do I go about filming and things like that? What have you come across? Like, have you come across any platforms that you could use to sign your place up for that? And
totally.
Go ahead.
There's a bunch of them, but Pure Space is probably the one that most people have heard about. And so that one it's like photo shoots, there's events, some filming, and then co-working is kind of like the arenas that it could be in. And you'd be surprised that a regular old home is still used for like commercials and stuff. But if you actually pay attention, a lot of commercials you see on TV or, when you're watching Hulu or something, they're people in a normal house. It doesn't have to be a mansion or a villa every time, So you can be using your places for location, stuff like that. But what I've also kind of seen is that you can find opportunities to co-host in places that are being underutilized. So for example, like a restaurant that they don't open till 5 o'clock, maybe it's fine dining or whatever. What are they doing until 5 o'clock? Could you be a partner with them and take a 50-50 cut and say, I'm just going to do all the work and they'll give you some money if it works out. So you could be renting these huge, brewery halls or whatever for, $500 an hour or $3,000 a day. So there are some great opportunities. I'm just trying to see how much demand is in my town versus, someone who lives in LA or something like that, where it would be more obvious. So yeah, I decided right now I'm going to just study it up, get really excited and learn about it, and then get myself on the platforms that make sense. So maybe choose 3 or something like that are the best of the best, and then get all my places up there. And then when all that industry opens up in, the next month, see how valid it is. So yeah, you're looking real excited over there.
Me or Steve?
You, Myka.
Oh, yeah. I love stuff like this. So you're talking about arbitrage in commercial space. That's actually really good idea, because I know a restaurant right up the street that only opens like at 5. So that's a really smart thinking. I'm gonna have to look into that.
Yeah, well, these people that I was taking the course from, I think they make up to 40K a month, and they have 3 places and they don't own them. And I'm like, all right, I'm listening. Let me just chill. Let me take some notes. So
yeah, the pop-up business. I love that business model.
Yeah.
I guess I wish I remember his name. You probably know it. Is the guy that kind of invented the concept of pop-up business. I think he's from England or something. I heard him on a podcast, and he was talking about, I think one of the first ones he did was a escape room kind of thing. He used like a business that already existed and did the whole escape room concept there. He didn't have to pay rent. He had to buy the place, nothing. He just made money from the time they ain't using it. And I was like, man, that's freaking genius,
Yeah.
And restaurants too, they have those, the dead hours, and you can like make your own little sandwich shop there at the restaurant while they're closed and stuff. I was like, wow, that's awesome, man. 0 risk and all reward.
You know what I think about these pop-up shops you guys are talking about, and maybe you guys can expand on this. I feel like with everything that's going on right now, I think a lot of businesses are seeing that with them saying, okay, like right now we're on a Zoom call. Most people are working from home. Maybe they don't see the need for overhead for commercial real estate. Do you guys think pop-up shops just, hey, I'll just rent out this place for this many hours to Zeona, then Myka comes in the next few hours, then Steve comes in? I think that could possibly be like a huge thing for commercial space right now.
Yeah, totally. I mean, they could have it for meeting spaces where it's like, okay, we don't really want to have this business, but we'll do it for 2 hours or something so we can all get together face to face. So yeah, I definitely think it's a valid thing.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Oh yeah, because I think Steve, you were the one sent over a commercial building, and I was like, you might be able to turn that into like a WeWork, because a lot of it looks like these commercial buildings, they're just like going down. A lot of them are just like, okay, we don't have employees here, we really don't need this overhead, so be something to look into.
Yeah, it's funny. I texted Myka these commercial places that are popping up on my feeds, because I always follow Zillow and Realtor and all those ones. And then all of a sudden they're sending me the commercial real estate. I'm like, what the hell? And for cheap, like $110,000 for this 3-room office with the waiting area and all this stuff. I mean, dirt cheap. I'm like, damn, I might look into that. Turn it into, like you said, a WeWork or something.
Yeah.
So motels were way ahead of the game.
Yeah, but it's interesting because sometimes it seems like people are seeing the trend. And so they're going, okay, well, commercial space used to be very safe. There were always going to be offices. And I don't think anyone would have predicted that, wow, people might really like to be at home and then not use office space anymore. So they're probably trying to just pass the hot potato until, someone gets stuck with it in their hand. But if you do get really creative, like you're saying, WeWork, I think that will always be a thing because people are probably going to want to get out of their space here and there, and they may not have an official office. So yeah, I don't know. It's just I would be a little careful, but if you've tested the market and you know that area has got demand for it, then it probably could work.
So how long did you live in Jamaica?
Until I was like 2.
Oh, okay.
Like
so you don't remember too much from it?
Well, I've been back a few times. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. And would you ever consider investing there?
Oh God, I know nothing about the Jamaican market, so I don't think so. I think for me, what I've seen from the few properties that I've co-hosted abroad is they just have never really worked out super well. I had a place in Mexico, a place in Greece, a place in Cape Town, South Africa that I've co-hosted, and they all were kind of way more seasonal than the US. And yeah, I don't think that I would want to buy abroad. And then, there's a lot of different rules that we don't know because you're in a whole new country, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And so do you still have properties that you manage in Spain?
I do. I have one there, and it's the only empty property of all my properties.
Oh.
Did they get hit really bad, or Spain? Or
oh, yeah.
Huh?
They did?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's like France. People they're only allowed to leave the house within certain hours of the day. And in Spain, you actually have like a radius. Like you can only do like one block around your house if you're going for a walk.
Yeah, I've been hearing like it's really strict in other countries. 'Cause I even had to change the payment schedule to my VA because he's only allowed to go out of his house certain days a week. So he can only pick up his check get his money certain days a week. And then he has to have a pass to say he's either going to the bank, to the grocery store, or to medical. So yeah, it's nuts in the Philippines. So yeah, it is really strict in other places.
Yeah. But that's why they probably have less cases. I mean, the US has a fourth of all the cases in the entire world because we're not so disciplined.
It's true.
We like freedom too much.
Yeah.
So where in Spain is it?
It's near Valencia.
Oh,
which is like a coastal town. So yeah, it's like a 4-bedroom villa, like overlooking the Mediterranean. I mean, it's amazing, and it's empty all of the time, pretty much.
Okay, now I have a question.
Yeah.
What systems are you using so you can co-host abroad?
Yeah, so it's the same. It's so simple. It's like all the bookings happen online, right? And then I just have an on-the-ground cleaner. And so I use Guesty, but you could probably use any kind of property management automation. It just, when the booking comes in, it sends her an email that says the cleaning has to be done on this day, and she just does it when she gets scheduled. So it's pretty easy peasy. And then the people, they get their automated email with their house manual, how to get in the house. And then we have a lockbox. So the same as anywhere else.
Wow.
Nice.
Okay.
So you're big into automation then?
Oh yeah. And that's, I think, the hardest thing about going medium term is that it's not as automated. There's a lot of guests that are talking about a place, they want to go see it in person, which you don't do on Airbnb, and then you have to write a lease. Like, it's just a lot of steps. So trying to figure that out.
Cool. And another question, if you don't mind me asking, what is Burning Man?
Burning Man is a festival. Well, I don't know that that's true. People will call it a festival, but it's like a movement. It's a human experiment that happens every year, except this year they canceled it. But it's a place where no money is exchanged and people work on the gifting system, and it brings out, I think, 75,000 people a year to create a city out of the desert, and then they take it all away every year, and it just comes back new.
Where's this located?
In Nevada.
Nevada. And
yeah.
Oh, okay.
You guys really not know about this? I thought you were just playing.
I know a little bit about it. I know a little bit about it.
I don't. This is all news to me.
Oh man. Okay, well next year we'll round up the troops, go to the desert.
Let's do it.
Myka's like, no, that sounds not good.
It's like you've seen Mad Max, right?
Yeah.
Myka. Okay, it's like
Commercials.
It kind of like I've never been, but from the pictures I see and stuff like that, it looks like a Mad Max thing. The way they get all dressed up and just futuristic
it's so fun.
Post-apocalyptic.
It's all just like music and art, and people make amazing things, and you just run around and share with each other. It's a great experience. I've been going like 4 years in a row. This is going to be my 5th year, and I'm mad they're not doing Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely something Mahogany, my wife, would love to do that. So we may have to go out to Burning Man. We'll see what that is.
Yeah. Well, let me know. I'll hook it up.
Cool.
And then they burned this giant wooden structure, right? This giant wooden man structure, and they just light it on fire at the end.
Yeah, they build a man every year. It's like a different art grant of somebody who gets to do this man. And yeah, that gets burnt the Saturday night after the week. So it's a whole week-long festival. And they also have a temple every year that's kind of like a non-denominational temple that gets built. And everybody kind of puts people that maybe have passed away that year, or just different memories or things they want to let go of. And it's a really beautiful sacred space, and they burn that on Sunday. And so a lot of the things that are there are kind of temporary. People might work on them all year to get to Burning Man, but it's made out of wood and they burn it. So yeah, it's kind of like the impermanence of life.
It sounds magical too. I hope our fans don't mind us talking about it, because I've wanted to go, and it reminds me of like I don't know, this throughout history, societies have before we're all jobs and it's all about this and making money and this and that. It was like they had these rituals that they did, and they had these a lot of things had symbolism, and yeah, fire was a big part of it. But it's just we were more about the soul than we were about like the material stuff like that. And if you don't mind me going on a tangent, but I heard this cool story. I heard it on Reading Rainbow. Remember Reading Rainbow?
Yeah, I do remember.
This coolest story. I don't know. It just popped in my head right now about this little Indian boy. Now they're called Native Americans, and he and his tribe, their tradition was you once a year you take your favorite prized possession, and then they all take it to make a big fire, and then they burn it. And he's kind of like, oh, I don't want to burn my this is my favorite bow and arrow, whatever it was. And they were telling him why they do it, this and that, and then they did it, and he burned it, and he felt good. He's like, this is like a gift to the gods, or this is a gift, and this and that. And they burned it at night. It was like a beautiful story. It's like, and it kind of reminds me, it's not about the possessions. It's about us and the connection we have.
Yeah. Cool. And it allows a lot of space for that. And it's pretty cool because it's not just to go there and party. Everybody has to participate. It's like one of the tenets of Burning Man is you agree to be participating. So there's a lot happening there all the time. There's a lot of restaurants going on, but they're all free. And there's like a roller rink, and there's a postal service, and they have like a radio station. Like it's like a full community. There's stuff happening everywhere all the time. And so everybody has little jobs and places to go and things to do, but it's very fun. You can just pop into the bakery and say like, hey, I want to volunteer for 2 hours. And they're like, come in, and you're making a cake. Like it's very like wild and free.
So that's the ultimate share economy.
Totally. Yeah.
Wow.
Brought it all back around. See that, Myka? See, you're like, what the hell are they talking about?
Good job.
So how was it being on Bigger Pockets? I know not as cool as being on our show, but how was it to be on Bigger Pockets?
I've been on Bigger Pockets twice. I think it's great. I don't know. I have a bunch of friends that work at Bigger Pockets, and I have a lot of friends that do different podcasts. So yeah, I think that they are pretty good at what they do, and they have a great audience, which is so fun because even now, years later, I get people that have heard me from there. So it's great to be able to kind of influence a bunch of people or help a bunch of people. So I like that they have a nice platform. But other than that, I don't know if it's any different, really.
You're like good friends with Mindy, right?
Yeah, Mindy lives just up the road from me. I'd say like 20 minutes away. So yeah, we kind of are all like part of a little dork community. We're all just like into personal finance and real estate. And so we just like dork out with friends. So
yeah. You know Mr. Money Mustache also?
I do. Pete.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Pete, yeah. What inspired you to try to get to FI?
Yeah, Pete is the first person that I heard of that was doing that. And I was just like, I don't know how he did it, but I want to be retired by 30. And so I got to it by 28, And of course, it didn't keep me from doing, I don't think I could fully say I'm retired, but I am financially independent, and I'm super eternally grateful for that. Yeah.
Nice. So like, what would be like a Zeona like advice to our listeners? Because we do, I mean, they run the spectrum from like, wanting to take over the world to just wanting to get like maybe 10 or 15 units, or just, I don't know. We have an eclectic mix, and then some, reaching for the five. What do you have like on their journey? What good advice would you have for them to help them on their journeys?
Yeah, I think being frugal is like a muscle, so once you learn it, like say you're in college and you learn how to just live off of rice and beans or ramen or whatever, it's best if you don't train yourself up to getting super comfortable. Like, oh, now I can only eat at 5-star restaurants and I have to have this perfect fluffy bed and everything. It's like, as you do that, you make yourself a little bit weak. But if you've got this frugality thing, then you can always come back to that. I know that I'm always safe because when something like this happens, like COVID, I can just go, whoop, I'm not spending any money because I know how to do it. I know how to cook all my meals. Like, people that are FI are thriving right now because they stay home. They don't spend money. They cook their own meals. They ride their bikes. So it's nothing new for them. But yeah, I think that if you can get all your bases covered, if you can be financially independent, even if it's a little inconvenient for those couple of years that you're like being scrappy, then later you can always make the decision to make more money. But you can also take 3 years off or travel, or something could happen in your life, and then you have the ability to say, hey, no work, and I'm going to just deal with life or take care of somebody, or take care of my health. So I think just getting those bases covered is the best way to do it, even if you want to live a super luxurious life later. It gives you choice rather than being a slave to the system.
Love that. One question. This is something someone asked me last night, and this will be good for you to answer. I have a friend. He goes, he's a realtor friend. He goes, I have an 800 credit score, but I have low capital, and I want to get involved in real estate. What should I do? How would you answer that question?
Yeah. I think the best way is, well, I like Airbnb. I like that model. I think that's the best thing because you all live somewhere, right? So that's the easiest way of saying, hey, what if we go camping two weekends a month and that can pay our mortgage? Or, how can I be creative? Can we make a space? Can we make like a finished basement, or can we rent out our backyard for some people with tents? What can we do to create more income? And then once you've got even 20 or 30,000, that can be a down payment on a house. Maybe it's not a house where you live, but it could be a house somewhere. So you don't need a lot of capital, but there's tons of ways to be creative as well. But that one's the easiest. I think Airbnb is like training wheels,
That's what I told him too. I said, you should think about arbitrage. And I'm like, you don't even really have any money. It's so many ways. Yeah, you just have to have a hustle. I like that answer.
And if you co-hosted, it's even less money because it's just free.
So you'd be more in the camp is like owning real estate is like the destination. The journey is, making money in these different types of ways, arbitraging or co-hosting or whatever, until you have enough money to actually buy your own.
Yeah, personally, I'm not going to tell anybody that real estate's the right way for them. There's definitely like pros and cons to any kind of way of investing. And I think people that really want something that is 100% hands off, they're going to do better in index funds because there's nobody going to call them in the middle of the night and there's nothing that's going to break on the home. Even if you have a property manager, you could get a random bill for $5,000 when you own a house. Like, it's a liability. But a home can go up $100,000 in 1 year. Like, you never really know. So I think there's a lot of magic to it, but it's for the right people.
Yeah. Nice. Well, this has been a great episode. What do you think, Myka?
Yes, it has. We finally got the great Zeona on. We've been for a while. We finally got her. So, yeah, it's been a good episode.
I want to thank the fact that you were cleaning out old emails and thought of us.
Yeah, it's my COVID dream to get to a zero inbox. I started with like 3,000 emails and I'm like, oh, hi, I haven't talked to you in 2 years.
That was 2 years ago? Jeez.
Yeah.
That was,
That's crazy.
well, actually, it was 2018, wasn't it? I think it was
2
2018.
years ago.
Oh, yeah, it is 2020. Holy shit, man. Man.
COVID's
But
throwing them off. Doesn't even know it's 2020.
It is. 2020. Yeah, that was funny because she, Zeona, sent us a message saying, yeah, she cleaned out her old emails and she saw this one and yeah, when can I be on your show? So yeah, pretty much we asked her if she could be on her show and then she responded. So patience pays off.
And to make it not sound as bad, it was like, oh, when I get done with this trip, we'll do it. And then we never connected. So I was like, hey, still good? Can we do this now? That worked out.
Might as well. I'm quarantined.
Yeah. What else are you doing?
Best things come to those who wait. Well, thank you so much, Zeona, for jumping on the show. And being our first intro, too. Our first, I got to intro a guest, and that's really cool.
Fancy.
And it helps that you wrote it for me. I appreciate that. You're a great writer. You should write a blog. Oh, you do write a blog. Check out her blog. It's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead. Tell them, Zeona, tell the fans where they can find you.
Yeah, it's ZeonaMcIntyre.com. So I imagine you'll have to put the spelling in the show notes. But yeah, I have a blog and some other podcasts on there and then a bunch of referrals on software that I use for Airbnb. Yeah.
Sweet. Well, we wish you luck in your journey. I know you're kicking ass and enjoying life first and foremost. And so thank you so much for hopping on.
Yeah. Thank you for coming on. Been a pleasure.
Thank you.
All right. And that was the great Zeona McIntyre. And anything to add, Myka?
No, that was a great episode, a great interview. I don't know butcher names, so with the great Z. So yeah, it was a good episode, and we look to hopefully have her back on in the future. And you can find Live Let Thrive at Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Be sure to subscribe, leave a subscribe, a like, and also leave us a review on iTunes. We greatly appreciate it.
Zeona, real quick, do you like coffee?
I do like coffee.
Okay, you like grind your own beans and all that?
No, I really just drink coffee on vacation, but I think it's like a treat.
Oh, okay, cool. Because we're about to have our own brand of coffee, so we'll send you a bag.
I'm into it. Ooh, fancy.
Live Let Thrive Coffee. Check it out.
Ooh.
Well, cool. Thanks again. This is a great show, and hopefully we'll see you again in the future.
Okay. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Live, Let, Thrive. Be sure to tune in next week for all the latest in the world of Airbnb and all that entails. Bye-bye.